Gotta apologize to y'all, man. I slept on these. I slept on these for far too long. With my initial wear on these, I really enjoyed the shoe, but this was around a time where I was getting a lot of sneakers in and they kind of just naturally fell out of rotation. I ended up getting some comments, people saying they wanted to see a review on these, so of course I grabbed them, took them back to the court, hooped in them, put some more hours in them, and I'm sorry, y'all. This really might be the sleeper shoe of the year. Like, for real, for real. What's good with y'all? It's your boy JayyKicksz, and today we are reviewing the Nike KD18, man. Hate to spoil it for y'all, but this is a phenomenal hoop shoe. Like a phenomenal hoop shoe. This is actually one of my favorite hoop shoes right now. The shoe is amazing. You guys are gonna see the shoe does a lot of different things well. Obviously, like every other hoop shoe, it has its pros as well as its cons, but I just feel like the pros outweigh the cons by a lot, man. Like, this is a great hoop shoe, and I don't think this shoe is getting talked about enough, man. So we're gonna break this down, and I'm gonna tell you why I think you guys should cop a pair of the Nike KD18, man. So like I mentioned, every shoe has its pros and its cons. The con of this shoe is I don't think it's the most visually appealing. I'm gonna go ahead and keep it a stack with y'all, man. This is the only colorway. This, and I think it's like a black label colorway. Probably gonna throw it somewhere, but between that colorway and this colorway, those are only two colorways that look solid to me. Every other colorway, like I said, is not the most visually appealing. To get straight to it, man, as far as looks, I'm gonna have to give these a 7.5 out of 10. Some of you guys, you may enjoy a sneaker that look like this. This may be your cup of tea. For me, it's simply not. You know, I think the silhouette is solid. It's okay silhouette, but I just think the colorways that Nike decided to implement with this shoe in particular, it just ain't really matched. Like, some of the colorways are like, okay, I can kind of see the vision. And then there's just a lot of different colorways that really lost me, man. Since we're on the topic of colorways, I actually went to one of my Nike clearance stores not too long ago, and I was seeing these, man. I was seeing these for a very good price. Usually we don't throw price in here, but like I said, I'm going to advocate for shoes that I believe are very good hoop shoes. To me, this is a very good hoop shoe. But you can cop these shoes for $60, $70, $80 at your Nike clearance stores. You're probably gonna find these in like a Ross, a Marshalls, a Burlington. You know what I'm saying? Like, even online, you can catch these on sale. I do believe when I caught my pair, I caught them on sale for maybe like $70, $80 online, and that was months ago. But with that price point being so low, I do believe that's gonna make this shoe a lot more attractive to the vast majority of hoopers, man. Nobody want to go out and spend $150, $180, $200+ on hoop shoes if they do not absolutely have to. So if you guys are looking for a budget shoe, hey, one of them ones, man, one of them ones. But like I said, we're gonna get into the specs, the tech, all that later. As of right now, the looks, we're going to give it a 7.5 out of 10. Like I said, there's only two colorways that I really like. Every other colorway is it. Now we're gonna get into the traction, man. If you guys know anything about hoop shoes, traction is one of the most important, if not the most important feature on a hoop shoe. But before I break these down, I am going to provide y'all with a traction and a squeak test just so y'all can see what these are hitting. So as y'all can see, Nike decided to go with a multi-directional rubber outsole for these, and I do believe they used the same outsole pattern on the previous model, so the Nike KD17s as well. So they just took it from the 17 and implemented them on the 18s. And at the time of this shoe coming out, I do remember a lot of people talking about that and how they were saying that Nike was being lazy and they're using the same pattern. And my response to that is, if it's not broke, don't fix it. I'm gonna be completely honest with y'all, bro. I did not expect this traction pattern to perform as well as it did. Like, it may not pick up right now, but it's still a decent amount of dust on this shoe, and this shoe performed extremely well. I ended up taking this shoe to a court, my initial wear, and the traction was good. I took it to another court, traction was good. I took it to a couple more different courts after that, and the traction was consistently good. That's one of the things that's kind of hard to determine when a hoop shoe is traction, because you may go to a court and the court may be clean that day. You know what I'm saying? So the traction may seem as if it's good, and then you may take that same shoe to a different court and it doesn't perform the same. These have performed the same every single court I've been to. Like, it's actually starting to scare me, because I genuinely just didn't think that the traction pattern would perform as well as it did. Out the box, these were very, very, very good. Little to no break-in time. Very good bite, decent squeak. This is just a very, very, very good performer. I am going to put up the outsole of when I went and hooped in these not too long ago. As you guys can see, that court was dusty. These did pick up quite a bit of dust, but that really did not make a difference. I really didn't have to wipe too much. These were just biting through it. Like, these performed extremely well, guys. So I'm not gonna harp on it too much. Like I said, great traction performance. It honestly surprised me, and they're just really good, very reliable. With that being said, we're going to give the traction, we're gonna give it a 9.25 out of 10. Like, it's very, 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 very good. And it honestly might be higher than that. It's just, I don't know, like, even to this day, it just shocks me how good the traction pattern is, man, for real. I don't know if I got lucky with the colorway or whatnot. I don't know, man, but like I said, traction pattern is just phenomenal. Next, we have the cushion. Nike decided to go with 3 different cushion setups implemented all into one. So starting off with the midsole, Nike decided to implement a full-length Cushline 3.0 midsole, a 4-foot air zoom unit, as well as an air strobel unit in the heel. And I'm gonna be honest with y'all, bro. If y'all know me, if you guys aren't new, you guys know I'm gonna keep it a stack with y'all. I'm not going to lie. I got a couple comments about this cushioning setup. The first thing is that the cushioning setup was very, very good. And it was good for a couple of reasons. The first thing is, I did actually feel this cushion. I'm gonna be honest, and a lot of different Nike hoop shoes, I throw them on my feet and I don't really feel too much. I'm gonna be completely honest. This is a cushioning setup that I can feel. And with that, it was also responsive. So when we're talking about cushion, you have on one side, the cushion feeling plush. So something that you can actually feel, it's soft, it feels like a pillow on your foot, like that's plushness. And on the opposite side, we have responsiveness, right? So for my guards typically prefer a shoe to be more on the responsive side, because they're just moving so much, they have to orchestrate the offense, and their role is different. Now my bigs, my power forwards, even my small forwards and my centers, they prefer cushion over anything. They're bigger players, they have more weight on their bones, their ligaments, their joints, on that, so they prefer cushion. These did a fantastic job of providing you with that cushion, that plushness, but they were also very responsive. You felt like you had cushion on the bottom of your feet. You felt like, as far as impact protection, you were good. You felt like if you were off your feet, whether you're landing on your heel or the forefoot, you felt like that cushion was enough and it was adequate enough to provide the support that you need. But at the same time, you also felt like you could do what you needed to do. The court feel was very, very good on these, and it shocked me. It shocked me. It's really hard to find that balance of a very good cushioning setup as well as court feel. If you look at a shoe like the Nike GT Cut 4, the cushion in that shoe is a 10 out of 10. Best cushion I've ever tested in the shoe to this day, and the cushion is phenomenal, but the cushion is so good to the point that it takes away from the court feel. That's no longer a guard shoe, because the cushion that they provided is just so much. And that's not necessarily a bad thing. It really just depends on the type of player you are and your needs. But for these, like I said, they also did this in the Heart of Volume 10. They found a great balance of cushion as well as court feel. They did their thing, man. So I know I kind of went on a little bit of a rant, but like I was saying, good impact protection, great court feel, and to put the cherry on top, these shoes are very, very, very comfortable. At least for me, that is one of the standout features of this shoe. On my initial wear of this shoe, that's one thing that I did notice, how comfortable the shoe was putting my foot in. They have a lot of padding around the heel, and they also have a good amount of padding along the tongue. So certain shoes, you crank down your laces and you can kind of feel the lace being pulled on the top of your ankle, and it kind of creates this lace irritation. You're not gonna run into that problem on these, man. Like I said, great padding, great cushion and setup, man. So enough of me yapping. For the cushion, we're going to give it a 9 out of 10. Cushion, like I said, was very, very, very good. Shout out to Nike. Like, this is a very, very tough setup, and I just want to give y'all flowers, man, because people don't understand how hard it is to balance the two. And this makes sense for a player like KD, because KD is a big who moves somewhat like a guard. So he needs that cushion because he is a bigger player. He's bigger than your typical guard, but at the same time, he's moving like a guard, so he needs his court feel. And I believe that's what this shoe mirrors, man. But like I said, cushion was phenomenal. We're going to give it a 9 out of 10. So like I mentioned earlier, every shoe has its pros and its cons. Running down the list. Looks, not really a big fan of them, but this colorway, I mess with the looks on these heavy. So to me, that's a pro. You look at the traction, phenomenal, pro. Cushion, phenomenal, that's another pro. Now, this is where the Nike KD 18 takes somewhat of a hit. These came in at 500 grams. So this is a US size 12, I wear a US size 12, and the average weight for my hoop shoe is between 430 grams to about 460, 465 grams. Once again, these came in at 500 grams. So for reference, the Nike GT Cup 4s came in at 515, and the AE1 lows come in at about 525. Once again, these came in at 500 grams. So on paper, this is a heavy shoe, but one thing that I will say is that this shoe did not play heavy. If you didn't weigh the shoe like me, and you simply just threw them on foot, got up and down, you wouldn't think that the shoe weighs as much as it does. And I think that's due to, like I said, just the padding that they have within the shoe around your heel, around your ankle, things like that. I feel like that added to the weight, as well as the cushioning setup that they provided. All those things add up. But the shoe did not play like a heavy shoe. It actually played a lot lighter. I'm not saying that the shoe feels light on foot, but it feels like an average weight. And because the shoe is so responsive, it just plays a lot faster than its listed weight. That is one thing that I noticed about this shoe. And this is coming from an individual who prioritizes weight in their hoop shoes. If you ask me, the 3 most important things to me in a hoop shoe is traction, fit, and weight. If you can check those 3 boxes, 9 times out of 10, I'm gonna mess with that hoop shoe. With that being said, I do feel like the weight is gonna be a non-factor for virtually most hoopers. If you are a smaller guard, like a 5'7", 5'8", 5'9" type of guard, you're skinny, very quick, and you're just like a quick, shifty type of guard, this may not be the shoe for you, because like I said, it is heavier. I am about 6 feet, 180 pounds. Not the biggest, also not the smallest, but for my size, my height, my weight, these feel just fine on feet. These feel just fine. Now, in regards to fit, I will say that like most KD signature shoes, these do fit more so on the snug side. I am a narrow footer. For me, the fit was amazing. The fit was amazing. Putting these on feet for the first time, the 2 things that stood out immediately is the fit. For a narrow footer, these fit almost 1-to-1, like 1-to-1. And I'm gonna tell you guys why I did not give the fit a 10 out of 10, but the fit on these off rip were amazing. And the more you continue to play in the shoe, the more this material begins to mold to your foot. And it just makes the fit even better. And secondly, how comfortable the shoe is. But talking about fit, I do think for my narrow to normal footers, you should be good. Even for my normal footers, if you're not the biggest fan of a shoe being snug, with this type of material, it is going to break in. So if the shoe is a little snug, off rip, hooping the shoe, breaking the material, and once it loosens up just a tad bit, you're gonna be straight. Now for my wide footers, I'm gonna be completely honest with you. If you're a wide footer, go up half a size. If you're a very, very wide footer, you may need to go up a whole size. And that's if you truly want to play in this shoe. For narrow shoes, or for shoes that fit like this, like a KD, like a JayyKicksz 3, JayyKicksz 4, I typically tell folks, if you're a wide footer, stay with it. You know what I'm saying? I'm not gonna recommend a shoe that fits more so on the narrow side to a wide footer. That just don't make sense. But for my narrow to normal footers, I do think that this is a shoe that you guys are going to really enjoy the fit of. With that being said, my personal rating for fit on these is like a 9.5 out of 10. But for the vast majority, I do think that people would give this probably like a 9 out of 10. So for my narrow to normal footers, putting both of you guys in one category, we're going to give the fit 9 out of 10, man. Very good fit. Now for the lockdown and support. As far as support, so once again, we talked about Nike and the way of balancing things, right? So as far as fit, they have like this mesh-like material that is underneath, right? And that is the material that feels very comfortable. Once you break in that material, it begins to mold to your foot, and it's more on the loose side. You know what I'm saying? Above that, they kind of have like this exo type of material that's more so on like the firm side. And the reason that they implemented that is to really lock your foot in once you crank down that lacing system and keep you supported. You know what I'm saying? You don't want your foot to slide out of the frame of the shoe when you're playing in a shoe, because then you don't really feel supported when making certain moves, and ultimately that can lead to injury. That is something that we do not want. That is something that these brands do not want, man. So as far as support, they did a very good job. The shoe is very supportive, and because it's, I don't know if I'll consider this a high top. I would say it's probably like a mid top, and it sits higher than your typical low top shoe. It's naturally going to provide more support. But like I said, with that second addition of the upper that sits on top of that first layer, it's gonna make sure you're supported, locked in, all that. Now, as far as the lockdown was solid. My only critique, and I also took a point away from the fit due to this, but it's the heel. Once you put your foot in, you crank down the laces, your heel's not coming out. It's not coming out. But for me, it just didn't feel all the way 100% locked in. You know what I'm saying? My heel would move, you know, just a tad bit, but in order for me to give that lockdown a 10 out of 10, my heel's not going nowhere. You know what I'm saying? Like, it can't move at all. It moved a little bit, you know, not really too much to make a difference, but it's something that is there. And like I said, with my experience with reviewing shoes, once you hoop in a shoe enough, sometimes that problem begins to disappear. That was a problem I had with Adidas Harden Volume 10, and the more I hooped in the shoe, the more that problem began to disappear. So I wouldn't harp too much on it. It's not a huge concern, but it is something that is there, and it is something that I wanted to provide to y'all. So overall, we're going to give the lockdown an 8.5 out of 10. Now for my synopsis of the shoe, my little overall review. This is a shoe that I wish I would have played or put a lot more hours in earlier. Like, this shoe is phenomenal. I knew the shoe was good, but because, like I said, it kind of fell out of rotation, I didn't know just how good the shoe was. To me, this is a phenomenal shoe, and this is probably one of the best budget shoes that you can get on the market. I did just upload a video not too long ago of budget shoes. There are different price points where you can actually go out and get them, whether that's in person or online, not too long ago. So if you guys do want more budget shoes, go check that video out. I actually do think I put this in there, man. I think this was towards the end of the video, but like I said, very good hoop shoe just overall. And what makes this shoe right now a budget beast is the price point you can get it at. Like I said earlier, you can go ahead and go to a Nike clearance store and see these. They have multiple colorways, they have multiple sizes, and these are just sitting. They're on sale for, I seen like $60, $70, $80, but I think that little median price point that I consistently seen these at was between like $60 to $80. So we just gonna cut in the middle and say 70. Man, these are a phenomenal shoe if you can get it for that price point. Just an overall great shoe, and this is a shoe that I am going to definitely hoop in a lot more. Like, this is a really good shoe, y'all. Y'all know me, I love to keep it real with y'all. I'm not going to recommend y'all a sneaker that I myself do not like. I'm just not gonna do that. You know, if the next guy like it, that's cool, you know what I'm saying? But for me, I'm not going to recommend y'all something that I don't like or that I don't approve of, man. But like I said, when we going down that list, great traction, great cushion, the looks on this specific colorway is good to me. Lockdown and support is pretty solid. The shoe is just, it's overall great, man. And as I'm getting older, I am leaning more so towards like my mid top. I'm not all the way at high top, you know what I'm saying? I got a little ways to go, but my mid top type of shoes, man, I just feel more supported in those type of shoes. I am a player who loves my low top shoes, but it's only but so much support a low top shoe can provide you. So, you know, I'm slowly transitioning to these mid tops and they're doing me well, man. But like I said, that's all I got for these. If you guys want me to review any other sneakers in particular, let me know, man. Drop them down below. If you guys want me to give you a top 5 of any sort, drop it down below. And we're just gonna keep them coming, man. Appreciate the support. Y'all been showing a lot of support. The channel has been growing exponentially. And I just want to say thank you to y'all, man. But until next time, we gonna catch y'all. You dig?